Imagine holding a single quarter in your hand, just 25 cents. But what if I told you that same coin, the very one you might have spent at the grocery store years ago, could secretly be worth hundreds of thousands of dollars today? Yes, a single state quarter hiding in plain sight could hold the power to change your life forever. In this video, we're diving into the top 5 state quarter dollars that have shocked collectors with their jaw-dropping values. Some of these rare finds have sold for more than the price of a brand new luxury car, even reaching into the six-figure range. Trust me, you do not want to miss this countdown. So, buckle up, grab your coin jar, and let's uncover the treasures that might just be hiding in your own pocket change. And hey, if you love discovering hidden treasures and want to join us on more amazing coin journeys, make sure you hit that subscribe button right now. Like a coin you might find in your pocket after paying for a cup of coffee in the mid-90s. Nothing flashy, nothing rare. But here's the shocking truth. This simple, everyday coin has taken the collecting world by storm. The Denver Mint struck millions of these nickels in 1994. But here's the catch: almost all of them came out with weak strikes. Monticello's steps are blurred. Jefferson's features are soft. So when a truly sharp example shows up, it's like lightning striking. Collectors go crazy. Even in circulated condition, if your 1994D shows an unusual error or stronger than average details, it could be worth far more than face value. Some of the rarest error types from this year include dramatic off-center strikes, doubled dies where the date or lettering looks doubled, and coins struck on the wrong metal. Imagine finding a nickel struck on a copper penny planchet, instantly creating a one-of-a-kind piece. Errors like these can take a worn-out 1994D nickel from being worth 5 cents to bringing in $5,000, $10,000, even $25,000. But let's turn up the heat. In uncirculated condition, with flawless full steps, the 1994D is one of the rarest Jefferson Nickels of its era. Auction records show pristine examples selling for $60,000 to $100,000. And the crown jewel? A single coin graded Ms. 67 with full steps, considered the best of the best, stunned the collecting world when it sold for nearly $350,000. That's right, a nickel struck in the 90s. A coin you might have used in a payphone or a vending machine, now worth more than many American homes. Think about how mind-blowing that is. Millions of these coins were spent every single day in 1994 buying snacks, paying bus fares, tossed into tip jars. Yet today, one of those very same nickels can pay off retirement. This is where things start to get really exciting. By this point, the state quarter program was a national obsession. Everyone, from kids in classrooms to grandparents at the kitchen table, was collecting them. But as we've learned, it's not the ordinary coins that capture headlines, it's the rare mistakes, the accidents, the once-in-a-lifetime strikes that slip through the mint unnoticed. And in 2003, some of those mistakes created quarters worth more than most people's entire life savings. The states released in 2003 were Illinois, Alabama, Maine, Missouri, and Arkansas. Each had beautiful, intricate designs. Illinois with young Abraham Lincoln and the outline of the state. Alabama honoring Helen Keller, Maine's dramatic lighthouse and schooner. Missouri with explorers Lewis and Clark, and Arkansas with its diamond and rice stalks. These bold, detailed designs made them especially vulnerable to striking errors. And that's where the magic lies. One of the most sought-after 2003 errors is the Maine double die reverse, where parts of the lettering and the lighthouse appear doubled. Even in circulated condition, these can sell for $15,000 to $25,000. Then there are the infamous missing clad layer errors where the nickel coating is absent, leaving a shocking copper-colored surface on one or both sides. Collectors love these because they look so dramatically different, and prices skyrocket. And let's not forget the extreme off-center strikes, where the schooner or Lincoln's profile seems to be slipping off the coin, a mistake so obvious. Even non-collectors recognize its value instantly. But here's the jaw-dropping part. A regular 2003 quarter in circulated condition? It's still just 25 cents. But if it carries one of these dramatic errors, the value goes straight into the stratosphere. A circulated error coin might fetch $30,000 to $50,000 without breaking a sweat. Move into higher grades, and we're talking $250,000 to $350,000. And the most dramatic, nearly perfect error examples? They've been auctioned for well over $500,000, some approaching $600,000. Just imagine a coin you casually handed to a cashier years ago could, today, pay for a luxury home outright. The emotional hook here is undeniable. These coins don't just tell the story of the states they tell the story of an entire generation that collected them, saved them, and believed they might be valuable someday. For a lucky few, that dream came true in ways they could never have imagined. And here's the suspense. 2003 quarters are still out there, circulating quietly in pockets and purses across America. Somewhere, right now, someone might be spending one without ever realizing they just handed over a small fortune for a cup of coffee. So the lesson is clear. Always check your change. Look at every quarter closely, even if it looks ordinary or a little worn. Because the 2003 errors have proven that even a circulated coin, scratched and spent countless times, can hold a secret value that leaves collectors stunned. And if you thought $500,000 for a single quarter was shocking, wait until you see our final coin. This last one is the crown jewel, the rarest, the most valuable, and the most unbelievable state quarter discovery of them all. Trust me, the finale will absolutely blow your mind. And now, we've reached the grand finale of our countdown. The last coin on our list might surprise you. Look at it closely. The scratches, the fading details, the worn-down face of Jefferson. If this were sitting in your change, most people wouldn't even bother picking it up. It's the kind of coin you'd expect to see rattling around in an old coffee can or stuck to the bottom of a drawer. But here's the part that'll stop you in your tracks. While the 1988 nickel was part of a very ordinary minting year, certain minting errors that slipped through the cracks turned some of these so-called worthless coins into jaw-dropping treasures. Picture this, a coin like the one in front of you, beat up and worn, suddenly revealing a rare double die error under magnification. Or even more shocking, a misstrike, where the coin wasn't centered properly, leaving Jefferson's portrait lopsided or Monticello stretched out like a funhouse mirror. These dramatic errors don't just draw curiosity, they bring in serious money. Now, you might think, how much could this old, ugly nickel really be worth? In bad condition, normal 1988 nickel is worth, well, 5 cents. That's it. But if you happen to hold one of those elusive errors, collectors have paid $2,000 to $10,000, even for coins that look like they've been through the ringer. And here's where the story gets even crazier. And circulated examples, especially with full steps, have sold for $20,000 to $30,000 at auction. That's right, a modern-looking nickel from the late 80s, something most of us spent without a second thought, is now a collector's obsession. And believe it or not, in recent years, certain mint-state 1988 nickels with flawless full steps have climbed into the six-figure range, over $150,000 for a single coin. Let that sink in for a second. A coin from the Reagan era, something you could have had jingling in your pocket at the grocery store, now worth more than some luxury homes. But here's the part that makes seasoned collectors shake their heads: the ugliest. Most beat-up coins are sometimes the most deceptive. Errors don't need to be shiny or pretty, they just need to be rare. So that scratched up 1988 nickel you're seeing right now, it may look like pocket trash, but it could secretly hold a value that makes even lifelong collectors do a double take. So the lesson here? Never, ever ignore a coin just because it looks too far gone. Condition matters, but rarity can outweigh everything. And as we move further down this list, the surprises only get bigger, because the next Jefferson nickel takes us to an era where value doesn't just climb, it skyrockets. And before we reveal it, don't forget, if you're enjoying these shocking stories, make sure you tap that subscribe button. That way, you'll never miss the next hidden treasure that could be sitting in your very own pocket change. Moving on, we come to the year 2000, a new millennium, a fresh start, and believe it or not, even a Jefferson nickel that can leave collectors speechless. At first glance, the 2000p nickel you're looking at right now doesn't inspire much confidence. The P mint mark tells us it was struck because it's not an old relic from the past. It's not from the early days of the state quarter program. No, this one comes from the very end, the 2021 quarter. Now, many collectors thought the excitement of the program was winding down. By 2021, after more than 2 decades of designs, most people assumed these quarters were just souvenirs of a long, beloved series. But then it happened. A handful of 2021 quarters began to surface with errors so rare, so dramatic, that their value shot into the stratosphere. And today, they stand as some of the most valuable modern coins ever struck by the U.S. Mint. One of the most talked about is the Crossing the Delaware quarter, released in 2021 as a final farewell before the new American Women Quarters program began. This coin shows George Washington heroically crossing the Delaware River, a bold, powerful image. But with its sharp detail and heavy design, it also proved vulnerable to striking issues. And those issues created million-dollar rarities. Some of the most spectacular 2021 errors include double dies so dramatic that Washington's profile and the boat oars look like they're doubled by a shadow, creating an almost ghostly image. Others have been found with striking misalignments, where parts of the design are missing entirely, leaving blank, eerie spaces. And the most jaw-dropping of all? A few documented examples of completely missing inscriptions, the words, "In God We Trust," or "Liberty," absent due to minting mishaps. Errors like these don't just spark interest, they cause bidding wars. Now, let's talk value. A standard circulated 2021 quarter? Still just 25 cents. Even a crisp, uncirculated one might only fetch $1 or $2 at face. But if you're lucky enough to uncover one of these dramatic, once-in-a-lifetime errors, that's when the numbers climb into legend. Circulated examples have sold for $20,000 to $50,000. Higher-grade errors have commanded $200,000 to $400,000, and the rarest, most perfect error specimens? Brace yourself. Some experts and collectors value them at well over $1 million. Yes, a modern 2021 quarter, still recent enough to be hiding in your change right now, could be worth more than a Ferrari, a mansion, or a full retirement nest egg. And here's what makes this finale so powerful. Unlike the older quarters, which many people saved carefully in albums, the 2021 quarters are still out there in everyday circulation. That means the $1 million coin of your dreams could be sitting right now in your coin jar, your car's cup holder, or even jingling in your pocket at this very moment. That possibility alone is enough to send chills down the spine of any collector. So what have we learned? From 2020's modern errors, to the historic 1999 spitting horse, the overlooked treasures of 2002, the dramatic $500,000 rarities of 2003, and finally, the $1 million shock of 2021. The state quarter program has proven time and again that hidden fortune can appear in the most ordinary places. And that's why collectors like us keep searching. Because sometimes, the smallest coin can hold the biggest surprise. If you enjoyed this countdown and want to keep discovering hidden treasures, make sure you subscribe right now. Because the next time we dig into the world of coins, you might just find yourself staring at the next $1 million discovery in Philadelphia, and the coin itself looks rough. The surface is dull, the details are smudged, and it feels like just another modern nickel that's been rattling around in circulation for 20+ years. Bad condition, right? Worthless? Well, here's where things take a shocking twist. The year 2000 was notorious for striking problems at the U.S. Mint. That means countless errors slipped into circulation, and today, those errors are worth a small fortune. Some of the wildest include off-center strikes, double strikes, and even coins struck on the wrong planchet, meaning the nickel was accidentally struck on a dime or foreign coin blank. When that happens, the coin instantly becomes one of a kind, and collectors will throw staggering amounts of money at it. Now, in its worn-down, everyday state, a 2000p nickel might fetch no more than face value, 5 cents. That's all. But when you find one of those rare errors, even in bad condition, It transforms. Suddenly, that beat-up nickel can command $5,000 to $15,000. And the clean, uncirculated examples with those dramatic minting mistakes. Those have shocked collectors with prices soaring into the $40,000 to $60,000 range. But wait, it gets even more jaw-dropping. The elusive high-grade, flawless examples with full steps from the Philadelphia Mint, something that shouldn't even exist in such perfection, have brought home auction records pushing $200,000. Yes. A coin minted in the year 2000, the same year people were worried about the Y2K bug crashing computers, is now worth enough to buy a house outright. And that's what makes this coin so fascinating. It looks common. It looks modern. It looks like change you'd toss in a jar without a second thought. But in reality, hidden among millions of these nickels are treasures so rare and valuable, they can redefine what pocket change really means. So next time you see a beat-up 2000p nickel, don't be so quick to pass it by. That bad condition might be hiding a mint error that turns it into a life-changing discovery. And trust me, as shocking as this coin is, the next Jefferson nickel on our list is about to take things to an entirely new level of rarity and value. Now, we travel back to the early 1970s, a time of change in America. The Vietnam War was still raging, gas was cheap, and a loaf. We're stepping back to the very beginning of the state quarter program, the year 1999. Now, this is where the excitement truly began. The U.S. Mint launched the State Quarter Series, releasing 5 new designs each year, and America went absolutely crazy for them. People were hoarding these coins straight from circulation, tucking them into jars, folders, and albums. But here's the part almost nobody expected. Some of those very first 1999 quarters would go on to become some of the most valuable modern coins ever struck. Let's set the scene. It's 1999. And the very first state honored was Delaware, featuring Caesar Rodney galloping on horseback. Georgia, New Jersey, Connecticut, and Pennsylvania followed. Millions of these were produced, and everyone assumed they'd never be rare. After all, they were everywhere in purses, cash registers, and bank rolls. But hidden among those millions were a handful of shocking errors and conditions that today make collectors' jaws drop. One of the most famous, the 1999p Delaware quarter with the spitting horse error. On this coin, a small die crack makes it look like the horse is spitting a line of drool from its mouth. It sounds funny, but collectors went wild over it. And even in circulated condition, these quirky coins have sold for thousands of dollars. Then there are the off-center strikes, double dies, and missing clad layer errors that reveal a copper core beneath. Each one tells a story of a minting mishap, and each one drives up the value. But here's where the numbers get unbelievable. A circulated 1999 Delaware spit of bread cost less than a quarter. And right in the middle of it all, the U.S. Mint struck the 1971 Jefferson nickel. The coin you're looking at now is in circulated condition, meaning it's seen its fair share of pockets, purses, and cash registers over the decades. At first glance, it looks like nothing more than a well-worn nickel from an era long gone. But this is where the story takes a turn that leaves collectors stunned. You see, the 1971 Jefferson nickel is infamous for its scarcity and high grades. That's right, the minting process that year produced nickels that often came out soft, with blurry details and weak steps on Monticello. That makes finding one with sharp, crisp details nearly impossible. So when a coin like this, even in circulated condition, turns out to have something unusual, collectors' jaws drop. Let's talk about errors. The 1971 nickel has some of the most collectible minting mistakes of the decade. We're talking dramatic double dies where the date or the words Monticello and 5 cents look shadowed or doubled. We're talking off-center strikes where Jefferson's face is partially missing. And the rarest of all, coins struck on the wrong metal planchet, such as a dime blank, creating a nickel that weighs less and looks completely off. These errors can catapult the value from mere pocket change to $5,000 to $20,000, even in circulated shape. But here's where things really hit the wow factor. A 1971 nickel with full steps, those tiny, perfect steps leading up to Monticello, is considered one of the ultimate rarities. Collectors have battled over these at auction, and prices have exploded into the six-figure range, more than $300,000 for a pristine Ms. 67 false steps example. That's right, a nickel that cost 5 cents in 1971, now worth more than some classic cars from the same year. Think about that for a moment. Millions of these coins were struck. Most were spent, lost, or left to fade in jars. And yet, just a few flawless survivors exist, making them the crown jewels of Jefferson nickel collecting. Even a circulated example like the one we're showing now serves as a reminder that every nickel has a story, and sometimes that story is worth a fortune. So while the 1971 Jefferson nickel may look like nothing special, it's a wolf in sheep's clothing. And for the collectors lucky enough to find the rarest versions, it's a discovery that can change their lives. Now, get ready, because the final coin on our list takes everything we've seen so far and pushes the limits of rarity and value to the absolute extreme. This is the one you've been waiting for. And finally, we arrive at the last coin in our countdown, the 1994D Jefferson nickel. At first glance, the one you're looking at right now seems painfully ordinary. It's circulated, the shine has worn away, and the edges have softened from years of use. It looks like. First up on our list is one of the most surprising quarters in modern U.S. history, the 2020 state quarter. Now, you might be thinking, 2020. That's recent. How could a coin this new possibly be worth a fortune? And that's exactly why this one takes so many people by surprise. Because in the world of coin collecting, it's not just age that creates value, it's condition, rarity, and those little details most people never notice. Picture this. A 2020 quarter, worn and circulated. At first glance, it looks ordinary. It might even have a few scratches from years of passing through soda machines, pocket change, and cash registers. But here's the catch: even in circulated condition, certain 2020 quarters have been turning heads in the collector's market. And the reason? Errors. You see, 2020 was the final year of the America the Beautiful Quarters program. And with the mint working under high pressure during the pandemic, mistakes slipped through. Double dies, off-center strikes, and even dramatic ghost images have been found on these coins. Some collectors discovered coins with doubled lettering so sharp you could see two clear outlines of the word Liberty. Others found quarters where the mint mark looked misplaced, or the strike was slightly rotated. All tiny factory mistakes that instantly turn a 25-cent coin into a treasure worth thousands. But here's where it gets shocking. A normal, well-worn circulated 2020 quarter, that's just 25 cents in your pocket. But if you spot one of these rare error varieties, the value skyrockets. Even in circulated condition, certain errors have sold for $5,000 to $15,000. And if you're lucky enough to find one in mint state and circulated condition, with flawless luster and a dramatic error, the price can soar into the six-figure range, $300,000 or more at high-end auctions. Yes, a coin you could easily overlook while buying a cup of coffee could instead pay for a brand new house. Collectors especially hunt for the Salt River Bay 2020 quarter, with its bold design of a red mangrove tree sprouting life from the water. Any striking error on this coin sends shockwaves through the hobby because the design is so dramatic that mistakes stand out instantly. Imagine a double die on those roots. Suddenly, you're holding a quarter that looks like an alien tree, and collectors can't resist paying insane prices to own it. And the best part? These 2020 quarters are still circulating right now. They're still hiding in bank rolls, pocket change, and coin jars across the country. Which means the next time you dump out your spare change, you could be staring at a coin worth a fortune without even realizing it. So next time you see a 2020 quarter, don't shrug it off as just another coin. Check the details. Look closely at the date, the lettering, and the design. Because one simple error could turn an ordinary 25 cents into one of the most valuable treasures in modern coin collecting history. And this is just the beginning of our list. If you thought a 2020 quarter could shock you, wait until you see what's next. Because the next coin on our countdown is even rarer, even more mysterious, and valued at prices you won't believe. Next up, house. Yes, the Jefferson nickel, that small, everyday coin we've all seen and used for decades hides some of the rarest and most valuable treasures in American coin collecting. And tonight, we're counting down the top 5 Jefferson Nickels that have stunned collectors with jaw-dropping values well into the hundreds of thousands of dollars. By the end of this list, you'll never look at your pocket change the same way again. If you love history, hidden treasures, and stories that make you say, "No way, that's real," then stick around. And before we dive in, make sure you hit that subscribe button, because you don't want to miss the next coin that could change everything you thought you knew about US money. Now, let's begin with a coin that almost everyone has seen before. The 1946 Jefferson Nickel. At first glance, in a circulated condition like the one you're looking at now, it seems so ordinary. The edges are worn, the shine has faded, and it looks like just another coin that's passed through countless hands at grocery stores, gas stations, and diners back in the day. Nothing special, right? But here's where the story takes a wild turn. You see, 1946 was a historic year for US coinage. World War II had just ended, and the US Mint was making changes. During the war, Jefferson Nickels contained silver, yes, actual silver, because nickel was needed for the war effort. But in 1946, the mint switched back to the regular copper-nickel alloy. That makes this coin one of the very first post-war nickels, a piece of history marking the return to peacetime America. Now, the circulated 1946 nickel in your hand might only fetch $1 or $2 from a casual collector. That's the part that fools most people. But here's the shocking truth. Certain rare varieties and error coins from 1946 can bring values that will blow your mind. Imagine this, a double die version where the date or lettering is struck twice, making it look blurry or shadowed. These errors are so scarce that collectors will pay thousands just for one in decent shape. But the real jaw-dropper? High-grade 1946 nickels, the ones that somehow survived in pristine, uncirculated condition, and touched for decades, can command staggering amounts at auction. A flawless coin, graded Ms. 67 or higher, has been known to reach values upwards of $20,000 to $40,000, and when you throw in a full step designation, meaning the tiny steps on Monticello are fully visible, collectors lose their minds. That's where we've seen values leap into the six-figure range, over $100,000 for a single coin. Just imagine, a nickel you'd dismiss as pocket change could secretly hold the value of a luxury car, or even a down payment on a house. And here's the kicker, the odds of finding one are not as crazy as you think. These nickels circulated heavily, but a handful of untouched rolls still hide in attics, safe deposit boxes, and old coin jars across America. That's what keeps collectors on the hunt. That little thrill of wondering, could the next Jefferson nickel I check be worth a fortune? So while this circulated 1946 Jefferson nickel may look ordinary and well-worn, it represents the doorway to one of the most exciting chapters in coin collecting. A reminder that history, rarity, and condition can transform a 5-cent piece into a $100,000 treasure. And we're only just getting started, because the next nickel on this list pushes the wow factor even higher. Next up, we've got something that looks almost too far gone to care about. A 1988 Jefferson nickel in very bad condition. Horse quarter might bring you $5,000 to $10,000. A high-grade, mint state example? That can easily climb into the $50,000 to $100,000 range. And rare, dramatic errors, like a misstruck coin missing nearly half its design, have been auctioned for upwards of $350,000. Imagine that. A coin you could have pulled from your pocket in 1999, now worth more than the average American home. Collectors especially treasure the first year of any series, and 1999 is no exception. These quarters aren't just coins, they're history. They represent the spark that ignited one of the most beloved coin programs in US history. Every collector wants to own a piece of that beginning. And if their piece happens to be an error, the competition to buy it becomes fierce, driving values into the stratosphere. Think about this for a moment. How many 1999 quarters do you think slipped through your hands over the years? At the gas station, the grocery line, maybe even sitting in your car's cup holder. And what if one of those was the spitting horse, or an off-center strike, worth more than $300,000 today? That thought alone is enough to make you want to dump out every jar of coins in your house and start looking. So, the next time you spot a 1999 quarter, don't just glance at it. Inspect it carefully. Because while it may look like ordinary pocket change, it could be your ticket to a small fortune. And remember, this is only coin number 2 on our countdown. We still have 3 more quarters to go, each one even rarer, even more jaw-dropping, and each one climbing higher in value. And before we move forward, let me remind you, if you haven't already, hit that subscribe button and join us. Because the next coin we're about to reveal is one that almost nobody expects to see on this list, and its value will absolutely stun you. Now, we move on to the year 2003, and this is cover a grandchild's college tuition or even buy you the car of your dreams. And it all comes down to condition, rarity, and luck. So the next time you're tempted to overlook a circulated Jefferson nickel because it looks too common, remember this: history is hiding in plain sight. And sometimes, that history can be worth hundreds of thousands of dollars. And that's our list. The top 5 Jefferson nickels that prove pocket change isn't always what it seems. From the worn-down coins of the 40s to the modern-day treasures of the 90s and 2000 seconds, each of these nickels carries a story of shock, surprise, and unimaginable value. If you enjoyed this countdown, don't forget to hit that subscribe button and ring the bell so you'll never miss another hunt for hidden treasures in your own change. Because the next coin you pick up just might be worth a fortune.